it's instead of like mashing your buttons, you have to be very precise with what you hit and when. CCing a Hwei player and disrupting like their keystrokes, that would be probably like one of the best things you could do. So the only limit to Hwei is how fast your brain thinks to chain abilities together. Because most people are taught to like use their APM to like mash a button, right? And I'm good at that, but I'm also good at combinations. Why? Because I play Tetris. They actually made a champion that is specifically good for people who know how to, or who have the skill um, to input buttons not only quickly but precisely, if that makes sense. Because most people know how to spam their buttons when something's coming off cooldown to get that immediate, right? But not a lot of people know how to like do a sequence. So I'll just give you an example for Tetris. Like when you move a piece, you're not just moving it like tapping it, right? You have to, it's called finesse. You have to like hold down the button, let go, tap one to the right, and then rotate and space at the same time. And if you do that quick enough, it looks like a smooth motion, but actually I'll literally just show it on screen. The difference between a good and bad player when it comes to Tetris. And then hopefully I can draw a comparison between that and Hwei, but I'll show you what I mean for a second. If you play Tetris, at some point you'll encounter this idea of finesse, where if you wanted to move the J piece here all the way to the right, you wouldn't tap 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 tap. This is starting position. You would hold right. Now that's obvious, but it's a little bit more nuanced when you want to go maybe 3 steps to the right, like this, right? You just drop that down. Instead of tap tap tap, you would have to hold to the right, then hit left, and then space. And this is the idea of doing the minimum amount of keystrokes necessary to move a piece to where it needs to be. You can see there's like a fault meter here, right on the right side. It's given me 7 faults so far. So if I move left and right like this and move, eventually it'll hit me with the faults. So perfect gameplay would mean like moving pieces in a way where I didn't do any extra keystrokes. So you can see I've got perfect finesse for now, right? But eventually your play breaks down, and eventually you do like one of these, and then it's gonna hit you with a lot of faults. So the way that relates to Hwei is, if you fuck up your order and you accidentally hit W and you go into your buffing abilities and you have to press R to cancel your W, you just wasted 2 keystrokes, right? So the order in which you hit your buttons super important. And so when it comes to a Tetris player, we already know how to do this. We already encounter finesse every time we play this game, right? We know how to get to that keystroke faster, or that combination. It's a lot more visible when you go for something like a T-spin triple, right? That involves multiple keystrokes. So if I want to do this quickly, this T-spin triple quickly, I have to slide all the way to the right, rotate, soft drop, rotate, and then space. There's a difference between T-spinning like this, where you just rotate, and let it drop, compared to something like this. You didn't even see it, right? Because I rotated it and I dropped it at the exact same time. Because what you want to do is to prevent any sort of lag, not like actual like ping lag. I'm talking about like wasting time. You rotate and then you immediately drop it. And if you're wondering like why do you have to drop it even though it's already there, it's because there's a slight delay before a piece locks in. So there's a complete difference between a noob T-spinner who might T-spin like this and then drop it later, versus a T-spinner that goes like bam. You can't even see it, right? You can't even see it. Sometimes you'll mess it up, right? But this is exactly how it is like with Hwei, where sometimes you actually want to be dropping that shit immediately, like right away. So if you have to chain your ability and before it lands and you want to use your WE, right, the buff, you have to get really good at sequencing precisely and quickly together, not just one. Ideally, what you do, like any good Tetris player, you start off with precision. Speed training can come later. Start off with accuracy, right? Your precision. There's a difference between accuracy and precision in the real world, but like for games, like we're not gonna. It's not like we're shooting a bow or anything. So I'm gonna use both words interchangeably here, but it's this idea of like, similarly with J4, if you EQ, you don't press E then Q. You're basically hitting both buttons at the exact same time, right? It's just one slightly before the other. That's how you do the fastest EQ possible, right? So it's cool to think that I finally, like, I have a StarCraft background and I have a League background. Oh, sorry, a StarCraft background and a Tetris background, and I have some somewhat transferable skills now, right? I mean, I always kind of did. I'm very good at microing multiple units because whenever I play StarCraft, like that's kind of demanded out of you. And now I can use sequencing. This is another, I guess I'll just call it sequencing, right? How well do you sequence in your head and then replicate that on screen?